Namaskar, everyone. So I'd like that you welcome me with an open heart. Just don't wait for something. Just open your heart full of love, that I can feel your love when I enter. Because before I look at your form, I'm looking for the energy that you're creating. So if you just come into a space of love, just love. That's what this day is about. Then you're really meeting with the Christ Spirit. Yeah, that feels better. It warms my soul. Simple act of just being loving. Even your physical body feels differently. Warm welcome to those of you who are joining us on stream today. A happy and a holy Christmas to all of you today. Here we begin the Christmas morning, and we begin with the Guru Gita that we sing every day. And why do we do that? When the Master Christ said, "I'm the way, the truth, and the life," do you know where he was speaking from? Remember, he was the Christ. The Christ consciousness that manifested in the man Jesus. Jesus was the man. Jesus was the one that took birth. Jesus was the one who had to give his body up on the cross. That was man Jesus. It was the Christ spirit that manifested inside of him. Do you know what the Christ said in the man Jesus? Before Abraham was, I am. What does it mean? That he is the always existing spirit, eternal spirit, ever conscious, immortal. Before Abraham was, I am. The Christ Spirit was speaking through the man Jesus. So most times you don't hear me say, Jesus said, but the Christ said. And when he said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, he was representing Guru Tattva. Guru principle, Guru Tattva. Only the Guru Tattva could speak like that. Only Kundalini manifesting as Guru Tattva could speak like that. I'm the way, the truth, and the life. All masters who embody Christ consciousness can say that. He said, greater works than I do, you shall do also. Continuously trying to remind us that we too are divine. Be perfect, even as your Father in heaven is perfect. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. And that see God means being God. So on this morning of the birth of human Jesus, through whom the Christ Spirit can manifest, we want to celebrate that manifestation on earth in the form of the man. The man was mortal, but completely an instrument of the divine spirit that is called a Christ. So this morning we chant the Guru Gita that speaks to Guru Tattva and how we can all become that. In the Guru Gita it says, if you meditate upon me, you'll become me. So the goal is to become the Christ, or to become Christ conscious in whatever body you have, whatever name you have. So Jesus was the instrument of the Christ consciousness, same as the Buddha consciousness, that show respect to the beautiful. Of course, Christ, that's not his picture, of course. It's only an idea. That was not the picture of the human Jesus. We have no pictures of him. We assume that he will be buried because he wouldn't have time to shave in those days. He wouldn't have had a face decorated like how it's decorated. He would have been much different. Albeit, I'm sure, a beautiful representation of humanity. And that's what is being portrayed here. The divine manifesting in human form. Today we honor the instrument that was born, divinely born, in a manger of all places, and more importantly, the Spirit of the Christ. It's a joy to celebrate this day with you. We celebrate goodness. We celebrate peace. We celebrate truth. And we celebrate the divine life. He said, I am the way. The Guru Tattva is the way of the Master, the way of the Guru, the way of all Gurus. Join us in the spirit of that beautiful Christ consciousness. The world needs it. The world needs us as loving manifestations of Christ consciousness. However you celebrate today, let it be infused with the Spirit of the Christ. When I think of Christ, I think of love. I think of goodness. I think of compassion. I think of truth. I think of wisdom. These are the values that this great being has brought to me. I fell in love with this being from a long time, from my childhood, because of how he was portrayed to us. He was a symbol of truth and goodness and compassion and love. And he walked with the common folk. And that's, I love to say. That was the way I thought of him. Before I got deeper into Eastern wisdom, he was my first influence. When I got deeper into Eastern wisdom, I saw he taught the same values. And that is what got me to appreciate the depth of Eastern wisdom. That comes from my tradition, my cultural tradition. So I see him today as a great world teacher in the sense of avatar. And he came in a period that was extremely dark, the darkest period, the darkest yuga that we call Kali Yuga. So his life would have had to be sacrificial because goodness would not exist there in a public sense. It would have to be hidden. But he came. He came for the drama that we have seen in the Passion of Christ. But what is marvelous about his being is how he treated with violence, how he treated with evil, how he treated with negativity, how he treated with it in every instance, nobly. My greatest example as a teacher, because he had the most difficult time as a teacher. Having come in to the darkest part of the Kali Yuga, he was treated with scorn. He was beaten severely, badly. He had to drag his own cross. For what did he do? Nothing. That today we'll consider as bad. He just taught truth, love, and goodness to the common people. But he spoke against the status quo of the day that turned religion into politics, into power and manipulation, like we have today as well. But how he endured that violence was amazing to me. And perhaps the most powerful thing that I take from that is him being on the cross, totally humiliated, scornfully treated, condemned. Think of his disciples in those days, because of the dark yuga. One disciple betrayed him, all part of the story. The divine story. One denied him thrice. One doubted his divinity. Those were the kind of disciples he had. No one stood with him. He was alone, physically, but yet not alone in his divinity. He ended his mission here by saying, Father, I commend my spirit unto thee. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Those words ring in my consciousness. They echo in my consciousness every time I see injustice in the world. Or I see manipulation. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. That's how I treat with injustice. If people knew what they were doing when they hurt another, when they are selfish, when there's power and manipulation, if people only knew what they're doing, and look at how the earth is treated. The earth is full of life. It's our support. It's our life support. Look at how the earth is treated. Look at how we are treated with all these pills, pharmaceuticals. Look at how we are treated with all the false values that we have. Who cares about us? Who really cares about us? The politicians? The commercial giants? The banks? Who cares about us? That is the age we are in. We have to care for each other. We're the downtrodden. We are being taken advantage of. But we have to stand in truth and wisdom and goodness, just like the Christ did. And we cannot fight with this darkness. We'll never win. We can only shine the light on the inside. Be the light. Christ said, you are the light. He said, shine your light. And look at the remarkable wisdom of the Christ. Be perfect, even as your Father in heaven is perfect. And he's speaking about the eternal Spirit, the infinite. He said, the kingdom of heaven lies within you. The kingdom of heaven lies within you. Be perfect, even as your Father in heaven is perfect. Even as the infinite divine is perfect, you are a spark of perfection. Be perfect. And he said, blessed are the pure in heart. Don't let your heart be tainted with selfishness, with aggression, with anger, with lack of compassion, with unforgiveness. Don't let your heart be tainted with these things. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall know God. And by knowing God, I take it to be experiencing God. What a master. He spoke of the third eye. If thine eye is single, he said, thy whole body will be filled with light. All chakras will be firing. Because this is the master chakra. If thine eye is single, you can get all these chakras to fire. Great mystical wisdom. Who understood it? Who understood it? Even Shiva is saying in the Guru Gita, Pindam Kundalini Shakti. The body, the physical body, is nothing more than the manifestation of Kundalini. the divine energy, the divine light. That's what Shiva is saying there. Same as Jesus. And look at the parables he spoke. The sower of seeds. The one who sows the seeds. If you sow your seed on unfertile ground, what will happen? And if you sow your seeds on fertile ground, what will happen? The parable of the prodigal son. We all taking the gift of strength and power that we have, and where do we waste it in the world? Rather than connecting with the divine inside and being an instrument of peace and love and harmony in the world, we spend the mental energy, emotional energy that we have from the youthfulness of our bodies. We spend it in pleasure and power and accumulation, and we have to leave all of that. Have you seen all those people in power that grow old in the body, and what happens? What happens? They grow old. They have to leave everything. Our bodies are all going to grow old. Are you going to feel it light as it grows older? Are you going to feel it the light that Christ spoke about? Or are you going to continue to keep your negative ways of power, of manipulation, of jealousy, of hatred, of anger, of aggression? Do you see how those bodies die? Do you see those faces? And do you see how the pious leave the body? Have you seen? The whole room is filled with light when the pious leaves the body. The doctor who saw my mother left her body said she was a saint. A Christian doctor. He said my mother was a saint. When my brother, Deva, left his body, he was one of the founding members of the ashram. My niece who was there, she said he took three breaths, each one a little longer, and then she saw light, a blue light left the body. He struggled with a brain tumor in the body at the age of 50. How does a pious leave the body? In the light. How do you want to leave your body? How do you want to age and grow in the body? With the eternal spirit manifesting, or with all the old primal habits associated with the body? So do you see what this day means to me? The advent of such a beautiful teacher, born in the darkest yuga, but showed the highest wisdom, the greatest example, and embodied all the values that we should have. I salute you, O Master. Om Shri Yesu Bhagavate Namaha. I bow to the divine light that manifested in you. Yesu, Jesus, Jesus. That's what it means to me today. How can I celebrate this day with frolic and wine and pleasure? How can I celebrate today? This is how I can celebrate it. How we did today. And when we come to the table on this day, let us eat with gratitude in our hearts. that such a master existed in our world. And after 2200 years, we can still remember him and his example. Shall we join together as we sing, "It is no longer I who live now, but the Christ that liveth in me"? Let's end today's conversation. And I say conversation because I can feel your communication with me, with this beautiful message. Shall we? Let's celebrate this Christmas day with this beautiful song. It is no longer I who live now, but the Christ that liveth in me. It is no longer I who live now, the ego, but the Christ that liveth in me, the light. It is no longer I who live now, but the Christ that liveth in me. It is in me. In me, the Christ is alive in me. In the Christ is alive in me. It is no longer I who live now, but the Christ that liveth in me. It is no longer I who live now, but the Christ that liveth in me. In me, in me, the Christ is alive in me. And the Christ in me, the Christ is alive in me. And Merry Christmas, everybody. In me, the Christ is alive in me. Merry Christmas, everybody! Shri Yesu Bhagavate Namaha. In me, sing. In Shri Yesu Bhagavate Namaha. Shri Yesu Bhagavate Namaha. The Christ is alive in me. The Christ. It is no longer live now, but the Christ that liveth there. It is no longer I who live now, but the Christ that liveth in me. But the Christ that liveth in me. Christ that liveth in me. So we humble the I on the cross. So with this, I want to wish all of you a Merry Christmas. Thank you so much, everyone, for your support. Have a blessed day in Christ consciousness. Namaskar.